Welcome to Offsite Dirt, the podcast committed to news and insight in the offsite construction industry. Join our team of experts covering modern methods of construction, high-performance build, lean manufacturing, prefab, and beyond. Here's the dirt on Offsite Dirt. We would like to thank our partner, Wesco, for being our official Offsite Dirt sponsor.
We provide innovative supply chain solutions every hour, every day, all around the globe. Our people roll up their sleeves and help create a world you can depend on. Focusing on the details, the challenges, and the unexpected, so that you can live life uninterrupted. Wesco. Ingenuity delivered.
Hello and welcome to Offsite Dirt. We are here in Savannah, Georgia, my hometown. It's exciting to be in a place talking about distribution, talking about modular construction, offsite construction as well, and especially talking with Wesco and Legrand. We have two amazing people with us today. We have Kent Anderson and we have Steve Killius. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks, Audrey.
I'm so glad both of you are here. I'd love to dig in a little bit more about smart technology. Being with Legrand, tell us a little bit more about how does Legrand come into the focus of lighting and home technology and why it's so important right now?
Well, Legrand has been around infrastructure for buildings for a long, long time, electrical communications, data. In the electrical world, in home building, for example, we do a lot with wiring devices, and we've always done the simple pieces, your switches, receptacles. Most recently, Legrand started getting into more sophisticated items. We do some smart home technology, but it starts with even basics like adding dimming and USB charging. Having a digital ready or smart home doesn't necessarily mean a whole lot of technology, but it certainly can.
I love that. And Kent, give us a little bit of feedback or around the conversation a little bit about your relationship in bringing in Legrand into Wesco, and why was it so important for Wesco to have this partnership?
You know, our partnership with Legrand has spanned a very long time. And our partnership with them is really important for our industry customers because what they're looking for is the best in technology, meet the regulations that they need to meet, and be able to perform well. Efficiency in their plants, very important. And then for us, having a great partner that really allows us to bring their product to the market, really focus in on the high quality that they provide, the ingenuity that they allow us to deliver to our customers on a regular basis. It's amazing.
And for those that might not know, being that our whole program is called Offsite Dirt, we're really talking about offsite or modern methods of construction. And with that particular means, we are looking at modular home builders. We're looking at the home builders that are actually building product inside their manufacturing plant and then also being able to distribute that product. The nice thing about having lighting as just one principle of smart technology is there's different levels of it. And when we were talking earlier, Steve, we were really talking about how it's really just a few $100s in order to give the consumer or the end user something that would really make their life more comfortable, more, ease, being able to use these types of technologies in order to just live.
You're absolutely right. I think often people think lighting control has to mean a sophisticated control system, and it doesn't need to be that. A toggle switch is lighting control, if you think about it, right? It turns the light on, it turns the light off. But from there, you can add some very simple functionality to add a lot of comfort and convenience, even energy savings. You can layer in dimming, you can put timers on fans in the home. Control can mean a lot of things, and if you want, we can take that all the way up to more sophisticated items. But it doesn't need to be expensive, and home builders need not to be afraid of this tiny incremental cost, because frankly, the savvy homeowner today is looking for a lot of these things.
So Kat, when you and your team are out and talking with your modular builders, modular factory, panelized companies, and you're talking about lighting, how does that go? How does that conversation lead into all of this education and these new products that Legrand is offering?
Great question. When we talk with our customers out in the field and at their factories, what we learn is that, first for them is to meet the regulation, the code that's required for switching, dimming, all that sort of different types of thing. And then beyond that, it becomes really an awareness of what's available, what's possible. And, we've been talking about smart home for 40 or 50 years. Today, we're not only talking about smart, we're talking about simple convenience factors for the homeowner, and it becomes a really important part of the conversation.
And when we're talking about building these homes, it's also about the added value of what you can give to your client, the added value of comfort, the added value of energy efficiency, the comfort value of having lights that can turn on without you actually using a switch. Can you walk us through maybe 3 products that you're seeing would just be these simple conveniences that are so necessary and for our modular community or offsite community to really start considering in their design plans?
Sure. Even if you're not looking for a complete home automation system, you can add some very basic levels of control. I know it's nice to come home and not walk up to a dark home, a dark porch, a dark driveway, or even dark inside the home. So with some very basic lighting controls, smart controls, you can put switches in the control lighting so that they're on automatically dusk to dawn, for example. You can set levels of lighting indoors, and this costs very little to add. There are some simple Wi-Fi based systems. Everybody's got Wi-Fi today.
We were talking about the amount of iPhones, computers, everything that, actually just today I had plugged in my water pick in order to use it, right? So just having those convenience of having a USB inside a panel.
Yeah,
right?
and that's another layer that a builder should be looking at it on. We've got, the average person carries as many as 3 devices, and the average home has 25 connected devices in it. We need to plug these things in, we need to charge them, and we're pretty impatient, and we want them charged fast. And adding USB charging to some wiring devices in the home is not a big cost, especially in the factory. The incremental cost is very low. And as a homeowner, walking in and finding those things already in the kitchen, already in the bathroom, is a huge convenience. And as you mentioned, it's a big value add. It's also a perception, my perception of the builder is, hey, they get it, they get me. And I've got these things that frankly I'm going to do anyway.
And it's funny because we were even talking about how when our phones get down to 60% and we're freaking out, oh my gosh, I've got to hurry up and plug it in.
That's
and
right.
To have the convenience of having a USB to be able to do that is brilliant. And I know, we look at all these different utilizations of technology, right? And we've got AI coming in and all these things, but they're really everyday uses that we need to start recognizing and seeing, right?
Yep. And Kent mentioned a few things, and for example, meeting codes and standards.
Yeah, that's a big one.
You have to have GFCI and you have to have arc fault in the home, but many people don't know you can still have USB charging in that same device on the wall. So we want to make sure builders are aware of these things. Again, for a little bit incremental cost, they can add some items in there that bring terrific value to the space, and they just simply make it more comfortable, convenient.
Makes it better,
Absolutely.
right? It's all about your end user. And when we're looking at building modular inside the factory or building these homes in the factory, having these conveniences, and then like you were saying, when I talk to people about Wesco, it's so interesting because they're starting to understand that there's such great value in having somebody like your company to help them, right? Build their pipeline, as I say, of their products, right? And so we were kind of talking, and I'm kind of laughing a little bit about, have you ever hosted a wedding? Have you hosted a wedding and really thought about, do I need a wedding planner? Do I not? And when you're hosting that wedding and you don't have one, you really know and you feel it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. As we talked about that it really becomes how do you coordinate all this information, all this product delivery of these parts and pieces, multiple SKUs, maybe a few hundred SKUs that are necessary, items that you're going to need to build properly, and how do you coordinate that? And that's a big part of the value that Wesco brings. And of course, the way we facilitate a lot of that is through our great partners like Legrand and others that we are able to bring, the advanced technology opportunities, and then also just manage the supply chain and ensure that production line keeps rolling every day as you need to do.
Yeah.
And go ahead.
I would just like to add that it's a great value for us as well. We have the technology, we have that device that's out there, but there's an awful lot of work that goes into making a change from the simple switch to, say, lighting controls or adding USB charging and so forth. There's a lot of support needed for the people who are going to make those product selections, who are going to do the physical installation, and Wesco, they provide a lot of that technical service, if you will, and that's absolutely necessary to do that. We just want people to understand that this is easy, it's not terribly expensive, and there are a lot of people here to help them make the
Yeah, we were
changes.
even talking about like just simple fact of numbers and distribution and being able to, Legrand producing these products, having the technology and the information. There was 3 things that we were talking about with Legrand that were high purpose for you, and it was education.
We talk about awareness, education,
Yep.
and training.
Yeah.
First of all, people just need to be aware that these things exist.
Yes, that's what we're doing here today.
We have a great website, and it's kind of consumer oriented. It really is all about informing people of these great things that are out there. But again, the specifier, the people who are going to put their hands on it need help as well.
They do.
We have a pretty extensive sales team across the country, over 400 people, but Wesco has thousands. And so when we combine our energies and our talents, we can provide a lot more service together than we certainly could on our own. Not that it's terribly hard, but it does help to have the access to all the resources.
Mm-hmm. And Ken, when you are looking at it from your perspective, what has been the great value for you partnering with Legrand? I know that they have these amazing products, but how do you see that relationship for yourself?
Our relationship with Legrand is really, it spans all across Wesco. So everything from the residential side into the commercial side, multiple different types of products. And we're really focusing in on the residential today, but it is extremely important that we know what type of partners we have to work with, how they support us, and work with us on a regular basis. As Steve mentioned, they have their team that works across the country, and we have our team, and what we do is we partner in with them. So they really bring that next level of expertise into the marketplace when we do need technical support and assistance. And that does happen, and they're great to work with when it comes to that.
So speaking about distribution, speaking about this partnership, and let's just say you guys bring a brand new product to the market and you're talking with Wesco. How does Wesco emerge that information to the end user? Is it through your reps? How does that really work for, let's just say, a new modular builder wanting to know more about these amazing products that are coming to market?
Yeah, 100%. So certainly those local reps that are in those plants on a regular basis, maybe every week, they're working with those local plant buyers, not only the procurement staff, but also maybe even engineering, potentially sales staff, and production management to understand what are the necessary things that they need to know, from pricing to availability to then the technical support of let's install this on the line, understand how we make it work and work properly for the field when it gets to the homeowner.
And those are all key points, right? You can't just do that by just sending out information or sending out an email. It's really about that consumer connection, right? Or that client connection, being able to be in front of them, talking to them, letting them know, giving them updates, because from the manufacturer standpoint, they are so involved, they're so busy. What they're doing is they're building homes, every single day they've got boxes moving through their assembly. They have timelines and build schedules and things that they're trying to meet. So when we're talking about, ordering product and knowing what the next thing is coming up, how does that work to be able to keep that timely for the consumer?
Absolutely. So, in our world, the consumer is that modular factory.
Correct.
For what they need to buy. Mm-hmm. And, if anybody's ever worked on a production line, you know that there is a time allotted for a particular thing to happen. And once you're outside of that time, it becomes really difficult to then get it done in a quality manner. So it's really important that we work very closely with the production staff and engineering to understand how that's all going to work together and then provide that service. And we provide a lot of services to our clients across the country. In some cases, we do vendor managed inventory, where we make sure that you have the right product on the shelf so that your production line doesn't stop at any time.
And those are big, that's big. And that, not having product means that you're stopping your assembly. That means that you're not creating the output and the productivity. So it all hits the bottom line.
Absolutely. It has to be a full flowing event. Anything out of sync stops it.
And that's kind of nice for you to know that too, right, Steve? Because
Absolutely.
When you're looking at it, you're like, I want someone to take care of us, right? We need to do that.
We can't just create a product in a vacuum, in a bubble,
No.
and say, here it is, go find something to do with this.
Although there are people that do that, but we won't talk about that today.
But so we can create the content, we can create the product, we can create all the marketing material, we can create the specifications, we can create a lot of supporting documents and collateral and videos and instructions and how-tos and everything. And that's that education part. So we have the awareness, we say, here it is, this is what it does. Then we have to educate, and it's everybody in the whole process of what they can do with it, how it can be used, and training if necessary. But that's where Wesco carries a lot of the weight, if you will, is they can take all this out now and translate it to the people that are going to use it.
I agree. Well, thank you both for being here. I love the discussion, knowing that it's so critical to have a partner like Wesco to be able to be your ground force and to know what's happening, especially with Legrand, and knowing that there is this great smart technology from, lighting and lighting switches, or a dimmer switch, or something like that can add value and save your client time and money, and also giving them the comfort of living in a great space. So remember these things when you're building and you're thinking about your next project, or coming up to this big plan of what's going to be our design for next year in our modular plant. These are small little iterations that you can give your consumer that can add great value. So thank you both for being here today.
My pleasure.
Thank
Thanks for
you.
having me.
My pleasure.
And that's the Dirt on Offsite Dirt.